but I just blocked
New
it out.
Orleans, I've seen a lot of roaches down
I
there.
haven't been to New Orleans.
Oh, man. Go there in the fall.
I got a thing with spirits and souls and such, so I got to make sure the energy is right before I'm so not joking. Like, it's all
good. So Opecast is more of a Midwest podcast.
Oh,
so we're not going to reach New Orleans unless if
not
you're
with that
in,
attitude, you won't.
That's true. Hey, if you're watching from New Orleans, make sure to comment. Whichever camera is on me right now, just make sure you comment that you're from New Orleans. This came across your feed, and you're a fan of Opecast. If you love art exhibits, good food, live music, well, we got you covered this week on Opecast. Welcome to this week's episode of Opecast. This is BradENSTL.
And I'm Carly.
Hey, what's up, Carly? How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing wonderful. I appreciate you taking time out of your day to help get Opecast off the ground.
I'm happy to be here.
One thing on this podcast that we're going to cover is what's new in the Lou. And this is the newest podcast in the Lou.
I know.
I even have that on a t-shirt.
Yeah. Thank God. Oh, thank God the merch is made.
Should we? We won't talk about the other merch of the other name.
No. Yeah. No, let's not.
Well, let's jump right into what's new to the Lou. So we're starting off on Opecast talking about Loutopia Exhibit A, which is opening up in the Del Mar Loop. It's going to run from October 5th through the end of December, and it's by St. Louis artist, a world-renowned artist, Jayvn Solomon. So I'm very excited to experience it. It's going to be very immersive. They're going to have concerts, other exhibits, and it's basically fun for the whole family. You can bring your friends, everyone.
That sounds really cool, but what makes this an immersive experience?
I would say it's everything that Jayvn's been working towards. So, he's done murals for the soccer stadium. He's painted different, what are those? Like foosball? Not foosball. Is that foosball? Like where they play soccer on concrete? I can't even think about it. But he's painted those as well. He's done a lot of great things in St. Louis. And so this exhibit's going to have some virtual reality, augmented reality. It's going to be basically when you walk through, there's going to be a call to action on how we all can come together as a community to, one, build community, use nature, use art to create a better St. Louis. And so I know he said the tickets are going to be $25. You can learn more about it on loutopia.city. Or you can go to STL Loutopia on Instagram. And actually, we're going to talk about him a little bit later on the show.
Mm-hmm. So there's kind of another pop-up experience going on at the Missouri Botanical Gardens. If you live in St. Louis, you're familiar with it. And if you're from out of town coming into town, you should definitely check it out. There's 79 acres of nature going on at the Missouri Botanical Gardens. You can get a day pass, which is general admission, and explore the grounds. It's very, very beautiful if it's a nice day, or you can go at night and experience the Chihuly exhibit. It's blown glass done by Dale Chihuly, and there's over 20 pieces of his. Like I said, it's blown glass all over the grounds. And if you go at night, there's going to be music, there's going to be cocktails, and it's just good vibes all around. And if you go at night, great place to just go with friends or a date. And going during the day, it's also just a completely different experience. And like I said, going during the day is included in general admission. So I liked going both times. Like I said, 2 different experiences. And if you're a member, then none of that applies to you. But also becoming a member, you get a really cool dad hat, and it's dark green. Maybe they've changed the color, but it's my favorite hat I've ever owned in my life, and I wear it all the time to play pickleball, and highly recommend.
Yeah, I need to check it out at night. So I've seen it during the daytime because I'm not going to lie, I need to become a member.
Yeah.
But I do go whenever it's free for city and county residents. I think it's Wednesdays and Saturdays from 7 a.m. to noon. So that's when I've gone.
Okay.
But I do need to go to Chihuly before it's gone.
Okay, yeah, go at night. And I mean, like I said, it's cool during the day, but at night it was just they were glowing orbs, and it was just a supernatural experience almost. It was so cool.
Yeah, I got to go before the holidays because I know that they're probably going to take that. Imagine if that was part of the holiday exhibit.
I think that'd be so cute and cool.
And shiny.
Yeah.
And sharp.
So if you want to get tickets, go to their website.
The Coachella, a multicultural arts festival, is coming back here to St. Louis, and that's the Festival of Nations. Now, you're wondering why Coachella? How did that come about? Well, I'm not sure how they came up with that name, but I do know that Coachella has about 125,000 people on a weekend. And Festival of Nations there in Tower Grove Park will have about 100,000 people on the Saturday and Sunday. Now, this is one of my favorite events of the year because you get to eat around the world. You have food from all different countries. I think they said about 75. And then they have entertainment. They're bringing in some Grammy Award winners. They're going to have vendors so you can load up, your art collection. And so I'm just really excited. I'm going to get there early. I'm probably going to just go park there right now because think about that. 100,000 people, that's 50,000, let's say 50,000 people a day. I don't know where they're going to park, but I'm just going to go there now.
Is there like a VIP situation?
Yes. So they do have VIP. You can purchase that through the Festival of Nations website. It comes with some perks, some good seating. I believe it comes with merch. Don't quote me on that. Check on that. But they do have VIP.
Okay, cool. And park early, is that what you suggest?
Yeah, I'm definitely. Yeah, so I go every single year because I love to treat it like Epcot. If anybody has ever been to Epcot, you can eat around the world. So I get there like if it starts at 11, I'm kind of like how like my grandma is at the bingo alley. Like I'm getting there probably about 10:40 and seeing like who's ready. And then when it's 11, I'm like grabbing my food. I go over to my little tree, probably got a blanket or like a little seat on the curb or something, and then I eat.
I love that.
And I take my photos too because everyone's like, "Oh man, the food looks good," and I'm like, "Yeah, I got there early."
But it's not just food. There's also like skirts and jewelry and.
Oh yeah, vendors.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not just like you can get you can go and get a Festival of Nations T-shirt, but like you can actually get like merchandise from the different vendors from around the world, like authentic stuff, and it's made with love. I'm excited.
I love.
I hope to see you there.
I know, I do too. I think I'm going on this Sunday.
On the Sunday? Well, I think you have another festival.
Oh, wait. I think I'm going on the Saturday.
The Saturday?
Yes. But there's also Evolution Festival the same weekend, though.
Yeah, so there's two festivals. So let's talk about Evolution Fest.
Yeah, we're all really excited for Evolution Festival. It's the same weekend as Festival of Nations, but it's the first music festival that we've had in Forest Park since RIP Lou Fest. And there's some great artists that are coming through. We've got Ice Cube, Brandy Carlisle, the Black Keys. Those are Ben Harper, the Sugar Hill Gang, big Sugar Hill Gang girl, and so many more. There's going to be a VIP situation going on, and demonstrations from popular barbecue chefs, Gobble Stop, Sugar Fire, Pappy's, and much more. It's just going to be a really good time, you guys. So also a bunch of bourbon things. Still 630, Wild Turkey, Switchgrass Spirits, bourbon and barbecue. We love that around St. Louis, don't we?
Yeah, and live music.
Yeah.
Bourbon, barbecue.
Well, yeah, it's live music. It's a music festival, Braden. What are you talking about? Tickets start at $89.50 for a single day general admission. And then you can buy a weekend platinum experience for $1,800. But if you want more information on this, you can go to evolutionfestival.com.
Are you going to get that weekend platinum experience?
I'm going to Festival of Nations for one of the days. So, like, I might just do
like the one day?
A one-day thing.
Yeah.
Go see Ice Cube.
That's what I'm going to... Because if you see Ice Cube, then you know it's going to be a good day.
Yeah, I think so, too.
But yeah, so for a full list, make sure to check out at Opecast the pod of some of the new things coming to St. Louis. Some of you guys may remember Foodie Friday. It's something that I did with Jacob with the phone back in the day on a radio station. Well, we're actually bringing it back. And so I put together my own list of a few places I recommend checking out this fall. And obviously we have tons and tons of great options here in St. Louis, but here are just a few that I recommend checking out. So boom. It's Foodie Friday, and this is BradENSTL. Now, you guys may remember Foodie Friday from last year. It used to be on the radio, and this is actually the 30th time I'm doing it. But the first time it's on Opecast, and we've partnered with STL Bucket List to put out this list to you guys each and every week. Now, it's going to be done a little different because I'm going to bring on a different person, but you'll see me from time to time. But I'm going to kick this thing off, and I'm going to kick it off with cocktails in case you're looking for some drinks with your friends. Frazer's. You must get the Hugo there in the vanity. Very unique drinks, a unique atmosphere. Now, for those this weekend looking for brunch, check out Southwest Diner. Try the Southwest coffee. You can get the Rockets at Baconland, omelet. Any omelet there is good. Almost anything on their menu is just delicious. It's worth checking out. Next, if you're looking for lunch over brunch, check out Cathy's Kitchen. Philly cheesesteak there is super good. Strawberry cake, it's made with love. I mean, her food tastes like as if your grandma made it. Now, for those looking for a dinner date, it's that time of the year where the sun is setting. You're looking for that romantic atmosphere. Visit Cinderhouse downtown. A beautiful view of the city, especially if you set your reservation right there at golden hour. I promise you, you won't regret it. Now, for my coffee lovers, you can't go wrong visiting Northwest Coffee there in the Central West End. If it's above 80 degrees, I'm probably getting an iced white chocolate latte. If it's kind of chilly out there, I'm definitely getting a hot one. And make sure you follow at Opecast the Pod and STL Bucket List to see who we're going to feature this year on Foodie Friday. So eat up, St. Louis. We're officially in festival season here in St. Louis, and so you're probably looking for something to do with your local bestie. And so we brought on local bestie Amber to tell us a little bit about what's going on this weekend.
Hey, Braden. Thanks for having me. Yeah, we have a lot going on this weekend, per usual in St. Louis. We're kicking it off with the social scene in the Central West End. I think they do this about once a month, but there you'll find shopping, food, live music, street vendors, street performers.
Also,
lots of things in the street. Great for your family, great for friends. Just a really neat environment to hang out in. We also have the Margarita Festival at Ballpark Village. I don't know about you, but I love margaritas. So if you like margaritas, that's a great event for you to go to. There's also the Moonlight Ramble that'll be happening in the Grove. This time it is a closed bike ride in the Grove. Yeah. And that's happening at night, so everyone lights up their bikes. It's really neat to watch, but inconvenient if you're trying to drive anywhere near the Grove. The Evolution Festival is also this weekend. That's going to be a huge music festival that they have going on in Forest Park. That's Saturday and Sunday. And then my all-time favorite event of the entire year is Festival of Nations. And that's happening in Tower Grove Park. That'll be Saturday and Sunday, I believe pretty much all day. Lots of food. I'll be there eating the entire weekend. They also have performers and just vendors from different cultures. So it'll be cool.
So I'm going to assume that you and your local besties, we're going to find you at Festival of Nations both days.
Oh, yeah. I'll be there.
Well, awesome. Well, for a full list, make sure to check out at Local Bestie on Instagram, or you could see our list of everything she just went over at Opecast the Pod. So, Amber, appreciate your time.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Have a good weekend. This week I caught up with Jayvn Solomon, which you may remember I talked about Loutopia Exhibit A about 15 minutes ago in the podcast. And so check out our interview. What's up, Opecast? It's BradENSTL. Today I'm here with Jayvn Solomon, world-renowned artist, a St. Louis icon, and the founder of something very special that we're going to get into. So Jayvn, what's up, man? How you doing today?
Man, I'm doing pretty well. Y'all got the whole setup going on.
Oh yeah,
so I'm still adjusting to that, but I'm great. Happy to be here. How are you?
Oh man, I'm good. It's another day in St. Louis. A lot of great things on the horizon. Good things.
And here we are in the midst of all those good things, in the middle of two plants.
Yeah, between two
palms. Not to be sued.
And we have a fireplace too, even though it's 90 degrees outside.
Is this a functioning fireplace?
We shall find out. Actually, we probably shouldn't.
That's a functioning fireplace.
Yeah, it's all for show. We need to just put a green screen over here so we can just go. Because you never know with these old city places.
An open fire.
This will be good for the holidays. We'll have we're gonna have to put some stockings up here. But yeah, enough about the place. We're getting things going here on Opecast. Yeah. Excited to have you as one of the first few people we interview.
Yeah.
And so we're gonna get right into it. As an artist, what inspired you? What was it about your journey in St. Louis that really got you to do what you're doing today?
So what inspires me is a lot of things, honestly, both locally and just abroad. So I've been an artist my whole life, right? So I literally grew up drawing like Pokemon, Digimon, Dragon Ball Z, early Americanized anime. Mm-hmm. That turned into cars as I'm looking at these car stickers over here, and just all types of stuff afterwards. So there's the visual element and graffiti artists who have always been a huge inspiration for me. But then I'll just conversation, honestly, which is super vague to say, but it's still true, right? Yeah. So conversation, music. Like I'm a huge like product of hip hop and the culture in itself. So I have a tough time pointing to things. So music, conversation, just people. As far as St. Louis goes, I would say who like really instilled a local pride, like a St. Louis pride for me is Nelly, like the obvious. Like he was one of those, he was the person who like I saw on TV and I was like, yo, you watch the Country Grammar video of him like up in the street. I'm like, I know where that is. I was just there yesterday.
Natural Bridge and Kings Highway.
Natural Bridge and Kings Highway.
Drove past it.
Yeah.
Every time I drive past it, I think of that. Natural Bridge and Kings Highway,
That's the power. That's the power. So like Nelly, obviously the rest of the Ticks, everybody who has ever had any type of like major platform from St. Louis, from Nelly to currently Tatum, Smino,
Big Boss Vet.
Big Boss, shout out Vet and Sexy Red.
Yeah. Holding down.
And
lots of others. So many others.
Not specifically, right? So don't trip, y'all. But just people really who have just like done well for themselves by being themselves and putting on at the city at the same time.
There's something about that pride though. No matter where people go, even like I saw Nando STL.
Yes.
Bro, he's these people
cold.
They rock their STL hats no matter where they go, and so it's something about
Metro booming.
Always STL.
We won't run down the list, but that's the last one. That's definitely I think
if we talk about the music scene right now, because Murphy Lee, we were even talking about like just the scene right now is just incredible. I feel like it's even I wouldn't even say better, but it's just there's more people getting attention now, especially because like Vet song went off on TikTok, and you had all kinds of people walking, all the pretty girls walking like this, things like that. But it's really cool. I mean, Metro Boomin has shaped hip hop the last 10 years,
without a question.
And it's
arguably like global culture because of that. So you're welcome, Drake. Just saying.
Seriously, yeah.
And 21, we won't get in the list, but major influence that I think a lot of people really don't like trip off of, but
it's kind of interesting though. Like with St. Louis, it's well, you reach a certain point, I feel like, as an artist, and we want to see people stay. So we're trying to build the infrastructure to keep them here, whether it's having like a record label, ways for people to actually get paid for their art and not just, hey, you're going to be on this building forever. And it's like, you don't get paid. You just get like exposure. But it's like, it's amazing when people get to that point where they go outside of St. Louis and then they come back and St. Louis like, hey, we love you. We've always loved you. And it was like, what about when my tickets were like $20?
Yeah. Well, you don't know. People don't know what they don't know, especially in St. Louis. But you said something about we want people to stay here. So what has specifically inspired me, first of all, to stay in St. Louis, but also to, exclaim that I'm from here, I'm doing stuff with, et cetera, et cetera. Mm-hmm. I was definitely one of those people who did not want to stay in St. Louis. Like as soon as I hit 17, 18, I was looking at Chicago and some other cities. Like I'm on the first thing smoking out of here, But it took, first of all, I like procrastinated and ended up staying here because Chicago was, the way my bank account was looking at the time, just wasn't working out.
St. Louis rent's going up to Chicago prices from what I see.
No.
Or those property taxes we're paying.
Yeah. I mean, at the risk of that turning into a different type of episode.
Yeah.
It took me like staying here and really just like exploring and like learning about like, oh, like this is going on down the street. Like, oh, as soon as you turn 21, you can get into this place. Mm-hmm. And I feel like it was turning 21 for me that like really helped me understand like, oh, there's a whole lot of different people here. Like you go to this bar, so-and-so is like working with this organization that you didn't even know existed. Mm-hmm. You go to this place or whatever, like, just casually. This is just how my life has gone in a lot of ways. Just like navigating a bunch of different spaces, going out, whether it's Mardi Gras or whatever, and just chatting with people, just, learning the landscape. Like I figure if I'm gonna stay here, I might as well figure out what's going on. You know what I mean? And I learned that like St. Louis has got a whole lot going on, and it's just not reflected in the physical landscape. And I'm like, Can we cuss on here? Is this a family friendly podcast?
Yeah,
The face you made said don't do it.
You can cuss. You can cuss.
The face you made said don't do it. Are you cussing on this?
No, actually, we have no sponsors. You can cuss all you want.
I'm gonna leave
I'm
it
just
be.
kidding. St. Louis has a lot of fucking talent, guys. Bam, broke it.
Well, now that the pressure's on there, now that I've set that precedent, I'll let it happen organically. But it's just a lot of shit going on here. I didn't do that on purpose.
Yeah.
But it's just so much. It's like so many of the world's biggest companies started and exist in St. Louis right now.
Yeah.
Build-A-Bear, Block,
Enterprise,
which I even forgot about Enterprise, respectfully, y'all, because I know you didn't cut me a check a couple times, but
Energizer.
Energizer. Raw is Energizer HQ'd in? This is a different kind of
I
episode.
think so.
We're just gonna leave it be.
Taylor
But
family, if you guys want to come on the podcast.
you sure can. Hey, you sure can. But oops. Yeah, so it's just a lot. It's just a lot going on in St. Louis. That's, we know about the bad stuff. It's easy to gravitate towards the bad stuff.
So easy.
But when you learn, like, I didn't know that Del Mar is being developed into this whole different place, so that like all these different places are doing this, that, and the third, and we're so busy looking at the bad shit, and that just is what it is. But like we're so busy looking at other things that we don't even realize. And I just found myself looking at the other things like, oh wait, this is really about to be up in the next few years. So that's what really inspires me, and just seeing even y'all just like doing your thing. And I don't say this because I'm in this room, because we've talked about this offline pretty much every time, but now
A lot of times on our old man walks. Man walks, I guess.
Yeah.
Old men.
Yeah. But it's just a dope city. It's just a little rough around the edges, but
I think it's just people have to. We're in the show me state. So
Yeah.
people like kind of going back to like the artists having to come back. Like, oh, we see what you can do on a national level. Now you're about it. So we're
Yeah.
gonna support you. But I think people have to see it, experience it, believe in it. And that was like one of my big things when I was starting out my platform. I'm like, people are like, oh, there's nothing to do in St. Louis, and then they go out of town and they just show nothing but the positive stuff. Like, I'm like, yeah, you're in New York and it's a beautiful place. You can do almost anything, but you're just ignoring all the rats you saw, the craziness you experienced. And it's like, but here where you live, you can't go downtown because you were told that this bad thing's going to happen to you. I'm like,
right.
It's just crazy. Like,
To this day, to be fair, and I don't like giving New York the credit if I don't have to, but I have not seen a rat once. I've been a little
I've seen one.
I've not seen a rat, or I don't think I've seen a roach. I've probably seen a roach, but I just blocked
New
it out.
Orleans, I've seen a lot of roaches down
I haven't
there.
been to New Orleans.
Oh, man. Go
I
down
got
in
a
the fall.
thing. I got a thing with spirits and souls and such. So I got to make sure the energy is right before I'm so not joking. Like it's again.
It's all good. So Opecast is more of a Midwest podcast. So we're not going to reach New Orleans unless if
Not
you're
with
tuning
that
in.
attitude, you won't.
That's true. Hey, if you're watching from New Orleans, make sure to
This
comment. Whichever camera is on me right now, just make sure
All five
you
of
comment that you're from New Orleans. This came across your feed, and you're a fan of Opecast.
Hey, we share the same symbol with New Orleans now. So, and Mardi Gras, and
Yeah.
we're similar.
Fair.
What are we talking
Yeah,
about?
we're going down this
Let's-
rabbit hole.
Yeah.
So let's go into, as we talk about what's coming to the city, there's a lot of things that have happened here in the last 2 years, right? So one is the soccer team, and you've been part of that. How was that process, and how did you get involved in it?
This is a funny coincidence because I actually just came from having lunch with the guy who pretty much set that whole process up.
Shameless plug there. That's what we're about, yo.
Yeah.
Bam.
Yeah. So this guy Daniel pretty much reached out to me. I'm pretty sure it was on Twitter. No avatar, just like the egg, and I'm like, this is spam. But he was saying like, hey, do you want to do this? Like, I am working on like getting some money together for this proposal for this park in Dutchtown, Marquette Park, and I want to do a futsal court. And I, it's like February of 2020 at the time, and I just have been working on the project that you mentioned, the Something Special, the Loutopia project, which we'll get into. So I'm just in the mindset, especially then, of just like, you know what? If it does a city any amount of good and we can put a little art somewhere, I didn't fool with soccer at the time. Like I hadn't played since second grade. It's a whole thing. But I was like, yeah, why not? So one thing led to another. We connected. Like Daniel connected me. Well, first I met Daniel in person. He was in fact not a bot.
Not a bot. I feel that. Yep.
And we connected to the Dutchtown neighborhood organizations, and I honestly forget how, because the last few years have been a blur, especially for me. I'll speak for myself, and I'm still just sort of getting a grasp of how things actually happened. But we got connected to the soccer team, and
After doing the court.
while we were doing the
Gotcha.
court, we pretty much connected to a few pretty specific, I think it was like just St. Louis, like a degree of separation between people, like, oh, I know so-and-so who's going to be working with the team. And I'm like, cool.
St. Louis is that small. We
St.
know
Louis is in fact that small.
2.8 million people, and you know someone that knows someone.
And that's metro, right? And that's not even the city limits, which we are now in.
Yep.
But yeah, that's how it happened. Like we just relationships, and one thing led to another. Next thing I knew, we were all in a call with City and Dutchtown and et cetera. And we just did the damn thing. So, and we did the first thing I did with them was Marquette Park, which is the futsal court. It's like one big one, or rather one full-size court in the middle, 2 auxiliary spaces on the side.
Gotcha.
For gathering, playing, whatever you want to do for real. And that was great. Like, it was really cool to see the Dutchtown neighborhood really like that close. Super, like, it's a tighter knit community than I expected, just being from St. Louis and having been all around the damn city at this point. Super tight knit, really like helped me out, and to keep it a buck, like washed my back in a lot of ways while I was over there.
Yeah. I grew up in Dutchtown. I know a little bit about it. Yeah.
So well, this is for the audience, Brad.
True. Yeah. Man, we're here talking.
He doesn't even care.
Man, hey, no, I did want to plug that. Yo, shout out to Dutchtown.
Shout out Dutchtown for sure.
I think Jordan Ward's from Dutchtown too.
There's
a lot of talent in
and
Dutchtown.
Jordan Ward. Oh man.
Yeah, he's killing it.
It's a big list. It's a big list of people. But
It's
working
like
with City SC was great. I after that painted something in their parking garage, like the great big shimmery one with the red stairs. Red and yellow. So it's red closest to the stadium, yellow farthest away. And then I was artist of the match like that week when I finished that mural, which was crazy.
How did that feel?
Insane.
Like, what was that experience
like? Actually, like, it's a whole, like, under part of the stadium. It's not even all that deep, but it's just, like, I'd never been, like, in an athletic stadium, like, up close and personal like that, aside from a couple Rams and Cardinals games. RIP the Rams.
Pour one out. Shout out to Battlehawks and the new Arena Football League team.
I don't
know what it's called.
Bro, and it's so much going on now that I just like forget. I forgot the XFL was even a thing, to be for real. But like, anyway, it was really different. Like the energy around the team, the soccer team, was just like, I've never seen that kind of unity in St. Louis between all races, religions, and creeds, identities, etc. Just like everybody was just there to have a good time, which is really, like, I really believe that that's what most of us want. We just want to chill for real, like in public. But it's always something.
People have their guard up. Like, why are you looking at me for so long? Versus like a soccer match or football match. Am I saying that right?
We're in St. Louis, Missouri, USA. It's soccer right now.
Yeah. So,
respectfully
to
my English kin.
Well, yeah, it's like like all the fans, they're on their feet the whole time. Yeah. Like, man, if I was like an insole company, or if I was a chiropractor, I'd be advertising, because, man, they stand up for the whole 2.5 hour game.
Stimulate that economy, baby.
Bam. See? Sponsorship.
Sponsored by. Yeah. Ooh.
But no, it's so cool. I like, it's been amazing to watch the team play, their fan base grow. And it's just like nothing I've experienced. I mean, the closest thing would be probably last. I mean, obviously, when we go to like Stanley Cup or something, that's like that's a bit different.
That's just different.
But it was like I would say last year was a really great example of like baseball fans, especially towards the back half of the season when everyone was watching Pujols and Yachty and just how loud everyone got. But the difference, I guess, is like with the soccer team, it's like people are standing, chanting the whole time, and they're hitting the drums and like.
I didn't think St. Louis had it in them to be cheering for the Spanish speakers like that, but I felt good about that. I really did.
Yep.
I really did. I'm like, oh, they really love these folks. Like, that's great. Because I didn't, St. Louis is a little different sometimes in a bad way.
You gotta show them. You gotta get them to buy in, and I think they did a good job, especially using food as a catalyst. And we have a big, I went to school with a lot of Bosnians, and that's where I first really learned all about soccer.
Yeah.
Like Ronaldo, Freddie Adu, Messi, and I think those are the only three I know.
Zidane?
Who?
Zidane Zinedine. That's his name, right? Or something.
With our
with
our team?
They're like, I don't know who the fuck. No, Zidane, I think, is one of the big.
Oh, David Beckham, too, yeah. Shout out to Beckham.
Yeah,
Come on the pod.
David Beckham. Yeah. But yeah.
So, like, how did
very rich soccer culture, apparently, in St. Louis, which I didn't know until I started working with the soccer team.
And really learn about, and each one of their games is almost like their content will make you feel like it's like the Super Bowl or, man, this is game 7 of the Stanley Cup, but it's like I get hyped and I'm like, man, I gotta watch this.
They got a good team.
They have a lot of good content.
Yeah.
Shout out to the content team.
Hell yeah. Yeah.
So a lot of the projects that you have done has led up to something you're getting ready to open up for the masses to experience here in St. Louis. So let's talk about Loutopia. Now, what inspired Loutopia? What is it to those who don't know? And then we can get into talking about the exhibit.
Yeah, so I mentioned a bit ago that St. Louis is a leader.
Mm-hmm.
To be very specific, not necessarily the leader, though that probably is true in some circumstances, but we have immense art institutions. We know this. The country knows this for sure. I just saw a thing in Forbes about St. Louis being like the hub of this new art. I'm totally botching the headline, but yeah.
No, I know what you're talking about. It's because we're an arts town.
Like St. Louis is on the come up, ? Energy, which
we know we're
there,
away. But
we know what it is. But the point is we're leaders in the arts. We are leaders in horticulture and ag tech. We got Missouri Botanical Garden, and on sort of a different part of the spectrum, you got Bayer / Monsanto.
Bungie, I think, is a big company.
This is a new thing to me.
Yeah. I'm a nerd about, I think they do something with ag tech.
And mind you, so this is like what you just said is part of what inspires me. It's like I learn something new every day, and the city's not that big is what's really crazy. So technically, per capita, we're kind of a great city, even though most of us don't really realize the magnitude of it.
Yeah.
But to reel that back in, ag tech and horticulture and just natural entities in general, we got Forest Park. Pretty sure that's rated the number 1 or 2 park in the country multiple times.
Yeah.
And several other parks that we just, I know that I occasionally take for granted, aside from sort of the big 2, Forest and Tower Grove. We, in so many ways, are leaders in sustainability and just innovation. St. Louis is the number 1 city for startups, for women-led startups, for that matter. We have been so for at least the last 2 years, I believe. So just stuff like that, right? So you pair all of that with how many nonprofits we have, which I think is
We're up there.
way past 200.
Yeah.
Like technically formed nonprofits. Now, granted, some of those don't necessarily equal the same amount of effort as others. But what we know for sure is that there are a ton of people doing really great work in St. Louis. So I, Braden, have been, since I struck out on my own to do my own thing in mid-2020, I have had this thought of like, all right, so I mentioned that a lot of this just isn't reflected in our physical landscape in St. Louis. The year before I left my job to do my own thing full time, I was just walking around when I was working downtown, and I would see like just blank buildings as I would consider like, oh, we have so much going on in St. Louis.
Yep.
Why isn't this shown here? So I took a picture of a building one time and I just said, why not just draw over it and see what happens? So I drew a mural over it, put some trees on there, slapped some wind turbines on there, just thinking like real high level, big picture stuff. Just to spark the idea of like, why couldn't we do this? You know? And that was something I just posted on Instagram, at least to try to like make myself feel better about like climate change and all types of other shit going on. Just thinking like, I think this could probably do something. Let me just post that and see what happens. And it turned out they got a whole lot of attention online, and I was like, what if I did another one? And I just slid another one. I just kept on going, and here we are 4 years later, and that series came to be called Loutopia, the marriage of all of the things that have been mentioned. So art, nature, sustainability, and now community, or just sustainable systems, because sustainability looks like a lot of things, not just like plastic on the sidewalk, right? Although that is part of it. But just like examining what these things really look like together in a totally feasible way, more or less feasible way. We have all the capacity here. I know this personally. I have specifically been working with folks ranging from City SC a few times to like Block, formerly known as Square, to Forest Relief, to Pocket Parks,
Tech
to
Artista.
Tech Artista. Shout out Tech Artista. They actually hosted. So I had in 2021 a Loutopia exhibition that like once I got to that 50 mark of renderings, which is crazy. Yeah. So 50 renderings of Loutopia were all shown in Tech Artista's downtown location. And in the middle of like, I'm pretty sure that was still mask time, like December 21, November-ish of 21.
Yeah.
I for sure am like masked up. I'm barely out of the house at this point. I haven't seen more than, 4 people in a room. Honestly, 4 to 8 people in a room in a year and a half. So we had this thing, and I'm like really nervous because I'm like, nobody knows, nobody's gonna care, which is fine because I did this for myself, if nothing else. And like, damn near 300 people were there, and you know how big that space is. Like, it was full. They made a lot of money on alcohol that night, and I'm very glad to say that. I probably bought half of them, not for real, but like, now I'm just thinking of them delicious drinks down there. But Tech Artista hosted the first few Loutopia events. We had that, and then a panel with, Vanessa Cooksey from RAC, Jean Ponzi from Botanical Garden, Catherine Hamaker, City Planner, PGAV, and Peter Tao of Townley Associates, architect, who I guess likes Loutopia a bit and is a fan of sustainability and community, and he's dope. I won't whittle any of these folks down to their titles, right? But
I think
good stuff.
I think it's amazing though, because we didn't know each other at that time. I heard, like, I've been following what you were doing, but like that's just like a great thing about social media is like I knew what you were doing. I was seeing that these panels were being held, and even though I wasn't there, I'm like, oh, I can imagine what they were talking about. That's why I think the importance of recording content from these panels and posting it, I think that's big too, because you have to engage the people that are there, but also those who aren't.
We're sitting on that video too of the panel.
Well, we could talk about that.
We'll talk about that.
But yeah, there's opportunity. There's an opportunity with that. It's kind of like in the most simplistic way. It's like there are people at the actual game, and then there are those people that watch the highlights. And it's you want to see that dunk, you want to see that alley-oop, whatever, that pass, that home run, and we want to hear that thing that Vanessa may have said. But yeah, for those who don't know, this portion of the podcast is recorded here at Tech Artista. So Tech Artista, they support us artists, and they do a lot of amazing things in St. Louis.
Hell yeah.
And help jumpstart Loutopia. So now
big time.
Let's talk about the actual exhibit, because everything's been leading up to that point. People, tens, if not hundreds of thousands of people in St. Louis have seen it on social media, these different concepts. So what exactly is this exhibit? What is it called? What can people expect?
This exhibit is, I think I'm going to do my best to answer in order of how you asked. So this exhibit will be called Loutopia, Exhibit A. Exhibit A in that it is a literal exhibit, and it's the first one that will be under the name of Loutopia, but it's also like, you know how people like, you know, you watch a movie or you hear somebody be sarcastic and they're trying to prove a point, and then something happens and they're like, Exhibit A, like, this is why this is a thing. So that's me sort of, I don't know if sarcastically or satirically is the proper term, but like, this is me saying like, this can work and this is how it's going to work, and just demonstrating what that looks like in this space, in the Del Mar Loop for that matter. So it'll be between currently Chicken Out and Pinup Bowl, right there in that main corridor of Del Mar. And it's going to be, so it's in a space that hasn't been used for a little while, which I think is also apropos considering the theme of Loutopia, like turning these spaces in the public eye into something that works a little better for us. So it'll be a paid experience, sort of similar to like just any type of special exhibit at a museum or like a selfie museum situation. So you'll pay $25 to get in there for an hour, and within this space we're going to have all types of just like sort of micro exhibits that represent each of the, to start off, each of the organizations, or at least a few that I've worked with over the years, ranging, or that all pertain to art, nature, sustainability, community, and we'll have pretty much augmented reality to bridge the connection between these physical exhibits and just whatever supporting these nonprofits looks like. There'll be a little animation, and, you know, you can do your selfies at the end of the day with, you know, with or without the AR, because space is looking dope. It's really going up. But yeah, it's just a space to explore what's possible, to make things happen yourself if you want to, and it's encouraged, in fact, and just to you know, learn what potential really can look like, which is anything. And in addition to that, we're gonna have people draw on the walls. It's gonna be a little bit of a living mural document, living piece of art.
Well, it's one thing I've always liked about Loutopia when I first saw it, and I think it was like a parking garage, and you did you like you were saying, you put the wind turbines up top, you painted the front of it, and it really got me thinking about like tourism. It got me thinking about social media. It had me thinking about the marketing side. You know, people go to these other cities and they're, you know, taking photos with all these different backdrops. In St. Louis, we have the Arch and we have Busch Stadium, things like that. But it's like that from that aspect of tourism, that's a big thing, because people are, you know, taking that trendy looking photo, they post it on social media, and it's good for tourism because people are, I got to have that as a backdrop. And we've seen tons of parking garages in our life. And I have seen some in other cities that they've had a lot of greenery, a lot of character to it. So I believe in the image. And
I don't mean to cut you off. I'm just holding up these three so I remember for myself.
Cool.
So 3 things. Speaking of tourism, community plus creativity plus commerce. So all of these things, I'm glad you brought up tourism, because that's a whole new thing. Like, murals specifically in public art are well documented in that they stimulate exploration throughout cities. That's why you see people with like the Nashville wing selfies and all that other shit. But
I think
like,
has a line for it. I actually have a photo of it. All right, I'll post it to this episode. I just did it because I'm
going
like,
to show while we're talking about this right now, it's going to be him looking like
my buddy and I
the Michael
like,
Jordan poster with.
I don't get why like we don't do that more as a city. Like,
well,
taking advantage.
We literally did the wings that exist on Hampton, but like my mindset about it is like, why do we even need to do the wings? Why can't we just do our own thing? We have our own identity. We're just, for whatever reason, like, not we, because I guess a select few with control over some things is just like, oh, well, that's too risky. But like, what's happening now is like, we're like, fuck all of that. Like, we're just gonna do this thing, and you'll be all right, and you'll just end up wanting to hop in with it anyway.
Facts.
But like, all of this stuff, people really leaning into what their local culture is what stimulates the economy and what makes people want to come in. It's why the Arch. Well, the Arch is a different case because it's beautiful and it's objectively amazing.
Shining and
But like, you know, the graffiti wall like is a huge draw like internationally. That's not by coincidence, and that's in a less beautiful, currently less beautiful looking area, right? So what happens when we put it throughout the Central West End and the Del Mar Loop, right? So like, this thing is very much so meant. This thing sits near WashU. This Loutopia pop up. A whole bunch of out of city, you know, people who aren't from St. Louis go to that school. So that'll also be like a case study within Exhibit A. Is like, look at how many people. Yeah. Like from other cities came in and did this thing because of this like public facing blah blah blah. You know, there's language around that, but commerce is very much so. Commerce and tourism are very much so a huge part of this because I'm not stupid. I understand at the end of the day, like these are the types of things that drive
these kind of investments.
Investments, right? So like. It's just a thought,
bro. It's so simple. It's simple, but it's made so hard, or they make it seem like it's so hard and it's hard to get to. But
I think it's just because people are risk averse, though.
Yeah,
just people in general. Like you get to a certain point where you're comfortable and you don't want things to change. But
those are the same people going to Nashville and waiting in line for those wings. You know?
Yeah, I worked in the like destination. Space field profession for like 6-7 years. Like I know the psychology behind it, and I'm not saying I know everything, but all I need to know is one little bit. And like even one little bit, and that little bit you need to know is all we need to move forward and do something.
Well, that's why like I've been in meetings and I've like brought up like actually investing in the creatives in our city, investing in influencers, things like that, because these people have the audiences. We can invest in them, and that's going to bring more people to the city than. Never mind, that's a whole different podcast.
Well, to your point, like that's, I hate to say like, and that, and this, and this too, but like part of the additional programming to this pop up is introducing that. It's not necessarily bringing everybody in, right? Because we'll only be open from October to December of 2023, but, like we'll have. At least every other week, like musical performances from local artists who are great.
Doing big things.
By the way.
Nationally.
Yeah. We're working on getting those. So our sponsor is Block, formerly known as Square. We're working on getting that title label on those performances. We'll see. It's not for sure, but if you see it, hey, okay? And if not, I gave it a shot. We gave it a shot.
That is big.
It's huge, and it's given me all the confidence I've ever needed. Like,
I don't know if you guys so Square, which is Cash App, obviously it's now called Block, but you have Tidal, and they're investing in this exhibit because they understand it. So this is
presenting sponsors,
which
I do not take lightly whatsoever.
It's a big deal.
I actually screamed when I got off the call with them, like, let's go.
Well, and it's like
woke my child up and everything, but hey,
it's big.
It's like that
because they operate all over the world, and they see something here, and they're out of St. Louis. And it's like, I've been able to see a little bit of the list of the people that are coming in to be part of the residency and the performances. And man, like St. Louis is in for a treat. And these are very intimate. I think a few will be there, once a month for the 3 months, but these are very intimate, like tiny desk. You need to be there once in a lifetime concerts.
And that's just music. Like there's just so much other programming that we're planning to have in the space by just having people in and saying like, listen, we want y'all to
record Opecast there.
Record Opecast, like whatever. We won't say whatever in all casts, but like, just start off small and just grow that to be like, like this is a community. These are community members running the space. Ergo, we want the community here, and the Loop could use us. I think. Don't you think? Do y'all think?
Yeah,
we got head shakes that you can't hear them, but they're shaking. They agree. Yeah. All right.
How can people buy tickets? How can people follow Loutopia? Because this is not just an exhibit to go to one time. There's going to be multiple reasons to go back.
And it'll change. Like it's going to literally look different in time, especially with people like putting art and stuff up on the walls, like respectfully with nothing obscene or offensive on the wall. I'm gonna just throw that out there. But listen, the biggest way to follow along is to follow at STLOUTOPIA #SpellingBeeChamp 4th grade. That's put that All right.
Spelling bee champ.
Anyway, just follow at St. Loutopia on Instagram and just keep up. Like, ticket sales are probably, what is it now? About early September. Pre-sale tickets ought to be up and ready to go. And it's gonna be awesome.
It's gonna sell fast, man.
I hope. Shit.
I think when like we're in the Show Me Say, so when a few people start sharing it, and then everyone's like, I got to go experience it, because I go to a lot of these events all over town, all these pop-ups and stuff, and I'm like, man, I've seen the blueprints. It's like nothing I've seen here.
Yeah.
But no,
I'm nervous, but it'll be good.
Yeah,
it's a good nervous.
Yeah, and there are a lot of places to eat there that we may be working with. Stay tuned.
Hey. Yes, I hope so.
Yeah, we'll finalize that. There are some things we're working on, but
that'll be dope. Braden is going to curate the menu and the ingredients on each of the specialty Loutopia items.
Oh,
said it here. I haven't even talked to him about this yet. Like,
yeah,
this is what's happening.
Yeah, this is
Yeah, I'm dead ass serious, by the way.
Yeah, we're serious. There's things in the works. But that's a good transition into one of the things we always bring up on this podcast is, food is this beautiful thing that brings people together. And, let's say you're at a table of 4 or you're in a booth. Who are 3 people, dead or alive, that you would love to have be part of that conversation and ask questions to?
Bro, you know what? I'm switching one of my people that you don't even know yet, so what difference does it make? But, all right, so Tupac Shakur, numero uno. Am I saying why? Did you say why?
Why? Yeah.
Can I list the people and then say why?
Yeah.
Tupac Shakur, Queen Elizabeth II, the one that just passed.
Okay.
And Bob Casserly of the City Museum, the OG of the City Museum.
All right. So Bob, we're gonna get into. I understand that one because it works well with what he does. But we got to talk about Tupac and Queen Elizabeth.
Tupac, if I ever had a hero that I didn't know, Tupac would be one of them. It's just like, as a rapper, he was on. I wouldn't even say he's like the best technical rapper, right? So like, there's a Tupac Biggie debate. I heard Busta Rhymes say the other day online. I don't know this man, but like Biggie is technically the better MC, and I'm like, I can't argue with that. But Tupac, the way that he could emote and get just fucking like pull you in with his emotional aura and just like charisma is something.
It's special,
huge,
and his music has aged so well. Some of the words like in changes, ghetto
and
gospel.
He just speaks the truth and like puts it into But that era, well, a lot of the greats of that era are similar, right? So I would have Jay-Z as an honorary 4th, to be fair. Did you see the 500,000 or the dinner with Jay-Z debate? Yeah. I'm taking that fucking dinner all day long. I think because for one, I'll never eat whatever the fuck he's eating like outside of that. But like, so Tupac, because I just think what does this dude like? I have to know. Like, what can we talk about? What is he going to get amped up about, etc. Now, Queen Elizabeth was literally the leader of the world for a long time. Say what you will about the U.S. and you'll probably be right in terms of power, but like Queen Elizabeth was in a pretty serious position. Yeah, her whole up and for like 60, 70 years, right? However old she was when she got coronated. But just like, this isn't because like I have a thing for the crown. In fact, I am a bit apathetic towards the crown, if I'm being honest. There's still something to just maintaining your character under such fucking like as high as scrutiny as you could possibly get. Like, you might not necessarily be doing anything wrong, and even when you aren't, you're still getting some stuff thrown at you. And then you got cousins, you got sisters, you got siblings, you got spouses and kids all doing just crazy
wild stuff,
things that only people with crowns with real gold can do, right? All throughout the world. Nah, that's dramatic, but just doing stuff. So like, how do you maintain your center throughout that whole thing? That's what I would at least start to talk about. The next thing would be like, why is your punch bowl made of solid gold? Yeah. And why are you drinking out of this redacted material ladle?
Do you know what styrofoam is by any chance? Like I would ask that. I would like, do you know what's plastic?
You ever had a to-go plate?
Imagine, yeah. Well, imagine not even having silverware. Like they probably don't even know what silverware is because it's goldware.
They have silverware.
Real silver, probably.
Sure. Yeah, it's literally silverware. So my wife's half of her family is English, like legit in England. And even they are like,
are they going to tune into this?
they might, but I don't know. It's not all that deep. They just like, they don't take it personally, like everything with the queen. But you know, this conversation can go in a lot of different directions from here. The point is, like,
true.
You know, I would love to know just what's keeping her like centered throughout all of that shit that she tended to. Like she literally grew up in World War II. I don't care what anybody says. Like that shit is crazy to me.
Yeah.
Like she was, I think that's near when she got coronated. Like maybe just after D/V Day, which is just,
it's crazy. That's a lot of, she saw a lot.
You talking about real global headlines before social media. Like that is some major shit. So just, you know, she's lived a lot of life. I would talk to most senior citizens with their minds together respectfully, just because like, you know, I've really come to have like a high regard for those who have just lived life and are literally still here to tell the tale and are still living life and have, you know, they undoubtedly have experience to share. Even if I, you know, wasn't necessarily a bagger at Aldi or some shit like that. Yeah. There's gotta respect our elders. But the queen, I would love to have a conversation with her for sure.
One of my friends, she died when she was 102 years old. She knew me from when I was like,
that's what I'm talking about.
Like probably 8 years old, and I guess until I was like 22 or 21, until I was like out of college, because I worked at a nursing home. But she knew me from like my parents and her outlook on life. She's like, I think she was put in the nursing home when she was like in her late 80s, and she's been there for over 20 years. So that's like, or maybe late 70s. So she was there for over 20 years. You know, she saw her kids pass away at the age of 60, 70, 80. So, you know, she's living life with her kids that passed away for many, many years. But she taught me a lot about having more of a positive outlook on life. But yeah, I agree with that. So last one, Bob Castley.
Oh, Bob Castley is the GOAT, man. And I, honest to God, wish I met him. I really, really do. Like, I know some of the Castley crew folks now, and I just like, you know, maybe I have this just vision of Bob in my head, right? Like I never knew him, and these types of things tend to happen. But I just like my idea of Bob in that he just did stuff and didn't hold too much regard for those who, you know, said no. Like, I mean it, don't do it, and he just did it anyway. Like, that's why we have the City Museum. Imagine where St. Louis would be if that didn't happen.
Seriously.
Right? So, like, that honestly, like, locally, we got our Nellies and our musicians and a lot of other great folks doing great things. Bob Castley is, like, the person who I would probably rank him, maybe not number one, a close two with Tupac, obviously, if I had the choice. But, yeah, like, I just admire that dude. Just like, and just how he used his own creativity to do things that I really just recently made the connection. Like, oh, like this is sort of similar to what
he did.
Yeah.
Yep.
Not necessarily to Jack City Museum's style or anything like that, because it's not that deep. But I just like that he went for it and used his skill set to just do something cool. And, you know, make something happen.
Yeah, make something really cool. I think over 80% of the guests there are from out of town. So last thing, we're going to go over one part of the podcast is a wow moment. It's the words of wisdom. So if you have to get any advice to any creative or anyone going through a tough time, what are some words of wisdom that you would leave them here on the pod?
You're gonna die. There's no getting around it. It got real stale in here. You're gonna die. Yeah. Like, we are literally born to die. Not to sound like super negative about it. It's just the truth. It's something that I ran away from and I still even kind of fear in a major way. But if you do the thing that you really want to do, you'll probably die a bit more satisfied. If you don't, you probably won't.
Yeah.
So you might as, even if you die in pursuit of the thing that you love or are passionate about, whatever glittering generalities you want to use, that's floating around the internet these days and algorithms. Yeah, like that. Do the thing. If you die on the way, you'll have died pursuing your dream.
Yep.
If you don't, you'll have died for what? Whew.
Well, Jayvn, how can people? How can
No, but seriously,
deep.
not to be like horribly
No.
negative about it. It's just like
live your life, like be you,
live
be
your
different.
life, do you, and mind your business. Mind your effing business. Not, don't leave people to their own. Don't leave people to be in dismay now. Don't be one of them people recording on the street when you could be helping.
Yeah.
But stay out of people's shit. Like, do
Yep.
you let people cook? It'd be all right.
Well,
You be all right.
how can people follow you, Jayvn?
You can follow me at Jayvn Solomon. I'm hoping that the text is going to show itself here because I'll just spell my name anyway. JayVnSolomon. Got the @ sign right there. Or wipe at St. Loutopia.
Awesome. Well, I
Please,
appreciate your
on
time, bro.
Instagram. Yeah, man.
Loutopia, check it out, y'all.
Yeah.
As always, I want to thank all my co-hosts, the people behind the scenes, including Jason, who is editing this, along with Midcoast Media for hosting us at their studio right here in Midtown St. Louis. If you enjoyed the show, then please like and subscribe on YouTube and follow at Opecast the Pod on all social channels as we grow our community.